So yes guys, welcome back to another Trashman vid. In my left hand, 2 head booms that have been faithful to me for the last 8 months. And in this video, I got a super intriguing experiment that we're gonna conduct. I've asked around in my tennis circles and it seems like everyone is a 2 racket guy. Nobody has the rare trifecta, 3 of the same kind. And that's what's required to answer this $1 million question that I have in the title regarding strings. So I've taken matters into my own hands and whew, fresh baby. Straight out the packaging. I'm now in a rare club with 3 of the same kind. Hello, beautiful. So we will take these straight to the scale, see how the quality control of head holds up with these booms, and then we'll get into the video as far as strings go. You're gonna love this one. Let's do it. So here we have all 3 lined up in stock form. It's supposed to sit at 310, and the first one's slightly under spec at 308. At least the other 2 match at 311, but a little bit disappointed that none of them hit the perfect sweet spot at 310. How's this for peculiar? The new one up top is a matte finish, and the bottom 2 that I had are glossy. How do you explain that? Does that mean one of them is pro stock and the other is not? Enlighten me in the comments if you don't mind. Slight difference there in weight, perhaps, with the beat up bumper guards and the scraped up frame. Here is the string of choice for the experiment, Head Lynx Tour. The 3 options are orange, black, and in the middle we're going with champagne. Not a soft string by any stretch, nor is it the most abrasive, but on the spectrum, certainly a little bit more crispy than soft. Out the gate with overgrip, 338, 338, nice to see some matching, and then 336. Let's get this party started. So yes guys, we're out here on the courts, finally ready to put this experiment to the test. I'm joined by Ryan on my right and Peyton on my left. So Ryan, the reason I called you out, you're a stringer, yeah. So you know all about different toys in the tennis world, yes, and strings alike. So I mean, what do you think? Do you have a predisposition? Do you think this is going to end a certain way?
Yeah, I think the black one will be a little softer versus the other 2, which will be a little stiffer.
Okay, interesting take right there. And then Peyton, I know that you have a history of elbow pain. That's true. So you were toying around with certain rackets before landing on the E-Zone. So I'm curious, I mean, how do you think this is going to end?
I've got no idea. I think it's all going to be mental. I think it's all going to be mental.
He's subscribing to the placebo effect. All right, so let's hit for 30 minutes and get to the bottom of it. All right. So slightly chilly on this day, about 60 degrees, and this is the first day straight off the stringer. I strung these back to back to back. Took me about 2.5 hours, so don't you ever question my dedication. My fingers were calloused and bleeding, blistering, but all for the sake of the experiment. I was happy to do it. So we started off, looks like I'm whacking the black string around. I did have a couple preconceived notions of how this would play out. Didn't think spin would be any different. But I did feel that maybe off the stringer, they would have slightly different break-ins, and certainly as time progressed, the tension maintenance would be different. I think this is truly gonna just, your eyes will be open. Yeah, the thing about this experiment that you have to remember is, unfortunately, I don't have all the state-of-the-art instruments to measure the RPMs or the speed of the ball, the bite. I know Tennis Warehouse have put out a couple videos with all of the data, the actual science between behind the strings, excuse me. They did a Yonex play test, which was pretty interesting to watch. I don't even have a tension instrument to measure how the tension's holding up. Yeah, there we are. Finalizing the last round. Good times here. So I'm basically going off of feel. So you're just going to have to rely on my experience and experience of my peers here as we run through it. But I think super shocked to hear Ryan say that he was going to expect the most comfort from the black string. I would predict the exact opposite. Stiffer, more predictable, more control, less power, of course. Goes hand in hand, and the complete opposite for the orange and something in the middle for champagne. Wait, past your left. I meant that. 1, 2, 3. No, but I want that way. 1, 2, 3. Wait. What color do you want? You like champagne.
I like champagne.
But I said I like champagne. What do you like?
I like champagne.
You bastard. All right, so we're about 30 minutes into the play test. Initial thoughts here after a little bit of hitting.
The champagne felt the best. It was comfortable, got a lot of power, so I'd probably normally string that maybe about a pound or a pound, 2 pounds a little tighter. This was really harsh. I have this in my Boom Pro, and I actually use a hybrid for this one. And black's always consistent.
Black's consistent. I would agree. So this felt low-powered and deader, stiffer. That felt like it had a nice pocket to it, and it, boom, popped the ball out with a little bit more ping to it. And then this, like, I don't even know, but it felt like it needs to be broken in more.
Agreed.
Which is weird.
Yeah, I agree with everything. Yeah. I'm waiting for you to say that you strung this one differently, because this one felt a lot better to me.
What gave it away? No, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. All right, part 2 of this play test. 72 hours into these strings, we're going to see if the softer strings have bagged out a little bit more than others, if there's a noticeable difference in that regard. So, interesting. Let's get to it. So this time I'm flying solo. My partner on the other side of the mat had a match that same weekend and didn't want to mess up his gel with his radical. Makes sense. So just me playing the booms these times, starting with the black string, the most stiff. And just to wrap up our thoughts on the first play test with Ryan and Peyton, interesting how we all ended up gravitating towards the champagne. I guess it was the sweet spot. We're Goldilocks out there, dude. One string is too hard, the other string is too cold. The champagne, just right. Good amount of pop to give you a little bit of extra power and some comfort. Not the most comfortable string. Wouldn't even call it soft per se, but not abrasive. So nice, well-balanced performance from the champagne, and I think that's a couple words as to why it ended up being our favorite. The orange in hand now, definitely not as soft as I would have anticipated it for being such a lively string. And interesting how, as I alluded to earlier, the break-in was just weird. Some strings need a little bit of an hour or two before they settle in and feel real nice. And yeah, the orange definitely needed that. And even then, afterwards, it was not as soft as I would have imagined it. I almost feel like the champagne was softer, which is ultra surprising to me. The black, though, did play as I predicted. But now that we're getting into a couple days off the stringer, I'm looking to see how the tension maintenance holds up, to see if there's any variability in that regard. Wrapping this one up with a nice little dropper there. So yes, guys, 5 days into this, it's had even playing time on all the strings, and we're gonna test the sound test right now. Will they sound differently based off of the loss of tension over time? I think my theory, the black one is gonna hold tension. It should have a cleaner pop to it, but the orange and the champagne, certainly more the orange, is gonna bag out and sound like a out-of-tune, twangy banjo. So let's put that to the test. I got one mic in the front, gonna set this one up right behind me, hit 3 balls, forehand and backhand with each racket, and then we're gonna see if it sounds differently as a telltale sign. Let's do it. All right, this is the last play test, part 4 of 4. If there's gonna be any difference, I'm gonna feel it right here, right now, a week and a half in. So this is the 4th and final play test, as I just said, and sorry that my sound test fell flat as a pancake. I thought there would be more convincing evidence that they sounded differently, but yeah, nothing conclusive, unfortunately, even with the blind sound test. So we'll have to move on to a week and a half in here, wrapping up, see how they felt. Ultimately, again, I stand by what I said earlier. The champagne felt the best, the most enjoyable, maybe the most, not maybe, the most powerful and the most comfortable, but I wouldn't even say it was powerful or comfortable. just middle of the road on those respective spectrums. The orange was a disappointment, broken in, needed to be broken in, and then just loss of tension, dude. Not enough energy returned back into the ball. The orange is a letdown for me. And then the black, I typically stay away from darker strings. I got a history of tennis elbow, so I know that they're the most abrasive. But I will say it played the most predictable, but not enough comfort in it to be my favorite. So, anyways, not here to give a review of the strings, but I will say I just by the nature of describing them, delineated some differences. The black and the champagne more subtle. The orange way more noticeable, particularly with the weird fact that it needed to break in. So those are my findings. Let me know what you think of it, and subscribe to the channel, man. It would mean a lot. But for the moment, remember to trash bin tennis. All about the tennis trash.